Hello everyone, welcome to the Melting Pot podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Monkhouse. The Melting Pot is as a result of my hunger for optimizing business performance, scaling up organizations, corporate culture, customer addiction, building high-performing teams, along with a few other obsessions along the way. I've spent the last several years working for and with some of the most successful, top-performing companies in the world. And this podcast is my attempt to synthesize what I've learned along the way to help you build a high-quality business and live a more fulfilling life. If you enjoy the podcast, you can find more information on today's episode and other topics at dominicmonkhouse.com. Today's guest is Simon Biltcliffe. He's the CEO of Webmart. And Webmart sounds like it's a digital business, but actually the business was named and the domain was purchased before the dawn of the internet, really. But Simon's on a mission to make print more affordable for everybody. And along the way, if you can get people what they want, you get to do what you want. What does he want? Well, he's built an amazing business. They've capped the number of people. They profit share with employees. He's capped his salary. The business is owned by a trust, so he couldn't sell it even if he wanted to. These are just the highlights that you'll hear as we're talking. The interview I had with him was in his medieval-themed boardroom, suit of armour, fire, stained glass window. We'll talk more about that. Just an amazing company where the way in which you structure it can have an impact on the type of business you become. And so Simon says he's a Marxist-Capitalist because without capitalism, there's no wealth, and without wealth, there's no redistribution. A fascinating conversation. I'm sure takeaways for everybody. Enjoy.
Hello, my name's Simon Biltcliffe. I'm Chief Executive of Webmart, a print management business here in Bicester in Barnsley in East Kilbride in London.
Okay. And what do you do mainly? I don't mean you, I mean the company.
The company, we buy and sell printing and related services. So it's the printing marketplace in the UK is £13 billion. It's huge still. And it's turned around from being a kind of mass market to more personalised. Using all that big data that you've got, we can make bespoke mailing campaigns programmatically, and so you can tie in physical print with digital data, and so we consult on that, and we develop our own software to procure print better than anyone else in the world.
Okay, very good. The reason we're speaking is because you and I were both on a panel, or both speaking at Henry Stewart's Happy Workplace sort of CEO event last year.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to interview you on the podcast is because you've done some interesting things with the way in which you've organised the business. And I'm often sitting down with people who are trying to, well, I don't know, before I start, why don't you say what you think are the things you might have done differently with the business? Then we can get into like why and did it work and why did you do it?
Okay. I used to work at a company that didn't care about people, to be honest, and it was all about the financial return, and it was pretty dreadful. Nice people, pretty dreadful environment to work in. So I thought when I started my business, and the reason I started it is because I saw the internet coming around the corner, and I tried to kind of flag down that this was happening to the company, and they said, no, we'll stick with what we did, which was printing high volume magazines, catalogues and stuff. And I said, well, I was 28 at the time. I said, listen, I've got 2 young kids. I want to make sure that I've got a big mortgage. I need to do something like this. So I decided to start at Webmart, but I wanted it to be very different from every company I've worked from before. I wanted it to be people-centric. I wanted it to work around and for people. So I set up, and I studied quite a lot of economics and behavioural economics and psychology, and realised that if you didn't make a company deliver value to the people who work for it intellectually, emotionally and financially, then they're not going to want to be with you in the long term. And this is before the millennials, this is in 1993, 94, but it just felt right. And I've seen a lot of people not being treated well. You had to work hard like a Trojan, and there was nothing going back in return other than perhaps a bit of money. And I just thought, well, actually, I can't afford to get the best people, brightest people, the people that, I need to get good raw talent. And how do I make my new company, which is a tiny little speck of a company, the best place I can to work in and to park your career and develop yourself as a person. So the ethos from day one has been, we are a Marxist-Capitalist business. We use capitalism to create value intellectually, emotionally and financially. And we use Marxist principles to redistribute that fairly amongst the people that make the value. And it now kind of works pretty well. There's 42 of us, there's about 30 million turnover. We've got a very strong balance sheet, we've never borrowed any money, and we have a significantly different workplace, and it feels different, and it attracts really interesting people that work pulled together.
Just want to catch you on one thing. So you said that was before millennials.
Yeah.
And so do you think about the age of any of your employees differently, or do you just think if you build a great company, it sort of doesn't matter the age of people?
No, I think, to be honest, the millennials have got it right and we fucked it up. We had this ladder to climb. We were all talking about standard of living. And, we wanted to, get on a housing ladder. We wanted to get on a career ladder. We denuded our lives to do this thing. Whereas actually, they've got it right. They want a quality of life. They're not necessarily looking at the acquisition of infinite amount of things because it doesn't really make you happy. So I think, in one sense, our model has worked towards there's been a pre-millennial model that's come of its age. And so it doesn't matter what age the person is that works in here. It's about giving the best quality of life and the best opportunity at whatever stage of life it is that you're at. Because, you don't always want to work all the hours God sends. Some people may want to and some people may not, but we've got to flex, and it's a family first policy. If there's any compromise to be made, the family comes first. That goes without saying at any age. This is a facilitator, and it's there to enhance your life, not to make it a really stressful. No, it's not to say, it's not a kibbutz where everybody's happy. We're not a Woodstock in 1968. So there are times when it is quite stressful, but if you're pulling together, you cope with it. Things do go wrong. But again, if you're pulling together, then it means that you can actually halve the problem because you've got a great group of people trying to work together. And we've got an eclectic bunch of people.
And is that diversity deliberate, or is it sort of accidental? And does it bring? Do you perceive it to bring value?
It isn't positive discrimination. It just a kind of fucking way it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not saying, what we haven't got is we haven't got a 50-year-old. Let's go find
exactly.
one.
I haven't got a 50-year-old who's ambidextrous. You just generally have people proactively bringing people who might fit here.
What I wonder about that is it that you're open to a candidate that other people might not see as in their sweet spot, but so because you've got an open mind, you pick up great talent on sort of the edge.
Yeah, odd talent, misfits.
And you go, that's okay. You can come here. We've got loads of people who are odd in different ways,
totally.
but all
and you
odd.
fit.
Yeah. Bring yourself to work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want everybody to think we're like The Name of the Rose, the film from the 80s, where everybody was, kind of bizarre. But we've got much greater diversity naturally. It's just the way it happens. And actually, it's a great strength. I think you look at things from different points of view. We're not clones of each other, and we're not, we're trying to actually think creatively. It's interesting that people will put forward people to us. I've just been out for lunch before I came here to say thank you to somebody who gave a great lead from somebody who were looking for a role. So we advertised just on our website, on our own social media kind of stuff, and people find people for us. And and that saved me literally £10,000-12,000, and just to say thank you for a lunch. They didn't do it for the lunch obviously, but they just thought that actually this person would really fit here.
Yeah. So they're doing everybody a favour. They're not doing it for a financial reward.
No, not at all. And so it was nice then to be able to spend a bit of time with her to say thank you, and just have a chat. And there's always unique value comes out of it when you look at it in a slightly creatively tangential way to the norm. We have a kind of counterintuitive approach to business.
And if you pick up in a sort of an eclectic group of people, do you think because you have given them a home or a chance or a choice, and because you say you're family first, it breeds loyalty? And also, if they've got a home here and they're happy, then going and working in a normal business would just be impossible. So it must might drive up staff retention.
Yeah, it does. And also, people suggest their mates to come, and they tweet and they Instagram, and this is what we did at work today, and also customers. In our marketplace, customers are typically between 25 and 35. The marketing people, procurement's older, and supply chain is older, but actually everybody likes coming here. Yeah. So we have about 1,200 visitors a year to the Yellow Shed of Wonderment.
We are sitting in your medieval boardroom with a suit of armour, a chandelier, panelled wooden walls, big wooden desk. I'll stick a photograph in the show notes. Oh, and there's a fake wood fire in a stone fireplace in the corner,
and a roller blind that is like a leaded glass stained glass window. And we've got some of our staff on the walls digitally printed as Elizabethan warriors.
Yes.
And it doesn't cost a lot. I mean, but equally, you won't get a consensus. People, when I did this, when I came, on a Friday, they went, it was a normal room. I came back on a Monday and I did a grand unveiling, and they thought I'd gone fucking mad. I mean, there's no ifs and buts. You need to have a thick skin. However, now, it's just the part of the DNA. And it's a bit like, if you look at anything that's different, you can't really go on consensus, even though you like to think it's, everybody's, I've just got to go where you got. Sometimes it really doesn't work.
It's interesting because one of your newer employees did the tour for me, Flo. And she came in and showed me this room, and I said, what a spectacular room. She said, it's not the favourite room with the employees, but the customers really like it. Yeah. It's just that you still haven't won them all over.
No, absolutely. And that's fine. I like it. Every room has a different feel about it, and there's a different purpose. And it's interesting when I say to customers, which room do you want to go in? Now, the kind of meeting you're going to have, depending on what room they choose.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they've preordained the kind of... So I was just doing a creative meeting in here before. Somebody said, I'd like to come in here. And because this is the only room where the door is opaque, so you can't see in it, and the window goes down. So it's quite an intense room. And it's contract, and we were talking strategy and things like that, and it actually works really well. Whereas if in the boardroom, it's kind of open, expressive discussion-y kind of thing. In the aircraft room, it's quite personal.
Yeah, intense.
It's quite focused. I mean, I personally like this room because I can walk around it, because I like walking when I'm thinking. And secondly, I can block out the rest of the day. So whether it's raining or sunny outside, so I can be in the zone, and it's pretty good. And it's got the Oliver Cromwell bust behind there as well, which, as he got rid of the monarchy, I'm a kindred spirit, being a Republican.
So look, let's drag you back to the Marxist-Capitalist thing.
Yeah.
You've structured your business differently than most entrepreneurs.
In one sense, probably not structured.
Maybe the redistribution piece, the sort of the staff bonus, and the way in which you think about what your share of the income is of the business.
All I wanted to do is, having worked at companies which are heavily leveraged, I decided I would never take debt. If I can't afford it, I don't spend it, and therefore it's a bit old school like that. So that meant that we had to reinvest income. So we have a reinvestment income level of £400,000 a year, and that allows us to do whatever we want. It's our money.
And you've built up a war chest over time?
Yes, 7.3 million. So it allows us to do plenty of... So we can buy a unit and do whatever we want with it.
You don't rent the building, you own the building?
We've got an oxygen farm in...
An oxygen farm?
Yeah, I've got the Webmart oxygen farm. 166 acres of deciduous mixed woodland.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Helping the planet.
And also giving people a place to take their kids. Got an eco lodge on it. Everyone gets a week free. So it gives us flexibility to do nice things like that.
Yeah.
So they can go and do that and spend a bit of time.
How long have you? So 40. What did you say the turnover was?
About 30 million.
30 million. And how long have you been in business?
Since 1996. So when you're early days, you can't really innovate that much because you haven't got any.
Yeah. It's like you and a couple of people.
It is with me literally in a room where I could hit all four walls if I lay down on the floor, and it takes a bit of time, but then you have freedom. You don't have anybody instructing you what to do, banks or accountants or anybody. So it gives you a latitude to make mistakes. And anything that's innovative, by definition, you have a high degree of uncertainty of success. Yeah. So you need to be able to not put huge amounts of, you don't bet the farm in a literal or metaphorical sense, but you do have to do lots of testing and things work out well and some things don't work out so well.
And what's your best and worst experiment then over the years?
How long you got? I mean, good heavens.
There must be some crackers.
There really are. I mean...
And I'm sure when you go into all of these things, you like eyes wide open, you think it's going to be a success, and then it turns out to be...
Yeah, I mean, some of them have been dreadful failures. And, so, and mainly around people.
Right.
To be honest. You think that this person's going to revolutionise it, and they've got undoubted talent, but then either interpersonally, they don't understand people, so you don't get the buy-in. And if you let go, and you've got somebody who's incredibly intelligent, but interpersonally doesn't do it, it's really destructive. So it's, the biggest challenge is about people. Biggest opportunities are around data. To be honest, it's dull as anything, but actually if you understand data and data mining, I mean, we've got a marketplace that is globally. I mean, I did a speech last weekend in Mumbai to 23,000 people at the IIT Entrepreneurs Conference, and I'm showing things that nobody's ever seen in the world for a 500-year-old marketplace that's worth over $1 trillion, that's growing at 15% a year in India.
Uh-huh. What were you showing them? What types of things were you talking about?
It's basically pricing algorithms for print. Right. So the average range of pricing that print, and bear in mind this is a commodity, you've seen it, everyone knows what it is. The average range of pricing, if you're an expert, is 50% from top to bottom. If you're not an expert, like you don't know what, you go to your local printer, the average range of pricing you will get is 200% top to bottom in a B2B marketplace. That's 500.
And that's... Quality's the same.
Quality's the same, specs the same, everything's the same. Nobody knows the price of print. Nobody buys it well. So I'm showing them that as a pricing dynamic, and it's blowing their mind because it's like effectively going into a BMW car showroom, and that same £25,000 BMW 1 Series is being literally sold for £100,000 in the next garage. I mean, it wouldn't happen in the B2C market, but in B2B, which after all is 70% of the global GDP.
Yeah, lower volume, lower transparency.
It's no transparency. It's based on how well you know the person. But it's not people trying to rip you off. Nobody knows the price of print. And then the specification of even something like a magazine that you could hold in your hand, if you had to describe that as a specification or your life depended on it, you'd die. You don't know what it is. You can look at it, but you can't describe it technically. So we've got a piece of technology that I can take a picture of that and it will give you a price. So you're turning something from a physical world into a digital product, and then we're manufacturing it back into the physical. So this industry 4.0, it goes from physical to digital back into the physical world and linking those together.
So I would have thought several years ago, in the same way that before it, television was supposed to destroy radio, and then Netflix was supposed to destroy TV. And digital, you'd have thought, would destroy print. And here you are saying that print, particularly in India, is growing 15% a year.
And also it's different, it's higher value now. It used to be the lowest cost medium, and now it's feature rich, it's got your data on it, so it's meaningful to you. And especially if you're young, you never get print. And you get this new media, which is tactile. So if in the e-commerce world, we've got this new media, which is printing, because the old media is digital. So it's difficult for us to understand. But, somebody said to me once, I never thought of it, he said, hands up if you've got a filing cabinet at home. Well, of course, everybody that's over 40, we've got a filing cabinet because we've got physical. Nobody understands, what's a filing cabinet? They've never had paper. So then you put all of the relevant stuff that you can digitally enable to take a picture, and it'll create a link to the internet website, which we can do. All of a sudden, it blows people's minds because I know immediately more about you than you could ever possibly know, but in a good way, because it's relevant. It's not spamming you, it's relevant, it's GDPR compliant, tick, 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 tick. So there's a huge range of things that you can do now that you couldn't before. But to get those opportunities to mash together those technologies, you've got to be trusted. And to be trusted, you've got to have a track record of being trusted and never fuck people over. It's what goes around comes around. So if you have given more over life, the corollary works is that people give you more, because it's the exact opposite of if you do somebody, then they'll get you back. It's the other. If you give more, you get more back. So opportunities.
Adam Grant, give and take.
And so what I try and do is give 10% of my working week away for free to help people.
Okay.
So that might be like going over to Mumbai to do that speaking. No, I'm not going to get anything back directly for it. So I'll do a lecture at a university over in the UK, or I'll do mentoring sessions for people who, I'm a member of a number of networks where people can just ask for a bit of advice. You can't have a correlation between what you give and what you get. Otherwise it's meaningless. Otherwise it's transaction.
Yes.
But if there is zero correlation, beyond reasonable doubt, between you're giving something out because you want to help, people will spend a lifetime, and literally a lifetime, trying to pay you back. So I'll get things every day from somebody who I gave a bit of help to, not unwittingly. I didn't know they were in the audience or whatever, 15 years ago. And they said, because I've got an unusual name, Simon Biltcliffe. I mean, there's two of us in the world. One is me, the other is my cousin who's a plumber in Doncaster. So, so they find me through LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff.
People keep sending them those Fortnum's hampers that were meant for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, never give me anything. But that's the thing. And so I give 10% of my time, and you get back a 10-to-1 return. Guaranteed. You just don't know when and who and how, but then all of a sudden people come back and find you people. Oh, I just thought that, and they'll think about it because they owe you one. And I had somebody I was looking to expand into America, and somebody came to me and said, Simon, an Englishman in New York, and said, listen, I found a person that would love your technology. They've never seen anything like it. And they have £1 billion worth of print-related services that they've ordered on behalf of people. I mean,
serendipity.
It's fate in a good way. And I couldn't find this person if I tried.
Well, and if you try to find them, they'd want a cut.
It changes it completely.
Yeah, the transaction involved.
Absolutely. So,
does your view of giving back filter into the workplace? Do you do?
Absolutely. I think family first thing is massively important. Mm-hmm. There is no compromise. If you need to look after old people or young people, or anything in between, then you've got to do that, and we will work around that, because otherwise it's incredibly stressful. And if we give that again, you get it back in spades, don't you?
Yeah. So your children early, you don't have to take holiday. You just kids are sick.
Yeah.
Sort it out.
Just
Come back when they're better.
Let us know.
Yeah.
That's all we ask. Is let us know so we can plan. And we've got good teams that look after each other and care about each other. So, we know everybody. That's
give and take.
Absolutely. And I've said I'll never employ more than 50 people.
So that's one of the things that you've done. Absolutely. You've deliberately set a cap, but you still want to grow.
Still want to grow. So we have to be smarter. We have to use technology. So I've now just launched, literally yesterday, a new service that can scale globally without us having to be involved. So you look at it slightly differently.
So that constraint forces innovation.
It has to. And then you get towards that, you say, well, if you want to take somebody else on, who's going to go? That's a tough call. So continue professional development, which we need to be better at.
And so do the team you have feel that they have to... I was interviewing Nikki from PropellerNet, and they've got 60 people. And so she said that the staff feel like keeping your seat on the bus gets harder every year. Do you have the same thing, or is it...
Not so much. There are people that say, listen, this is as far as I want to go, and then you rejig. My life choice is changed, in which case. And we have people that move between roles. Yeah. Go quite a lot. So our finance, head of the finance team started off as telesales, and then went in, and we've helped her through, get qualifications, wanted to go into finance, and fabulous. My sales director now started in IT. And as you get to know people, you actually say, you'd be better fit in a different role, and then they fly. So you flex, and equally, if somebody wants to work, go from full-time to part-time, it works for them and it works for you. It's not always possible. There are times when, my PA who wanted to start a business, and I wanted her to start a business, went down to West Wales.
Spoke to her yesterday. We had a fantastic conversation about her entire journey.
Yeah. And I said, I can't see how it works as a virtual assistant. And so I've got somebody here who's great, a lovely person, but it wasn't very organised in the same way as Lisa. Anyway, it didn't work out. And Lisa said, look, let's give it a go. So I've got Flo, who took you around today, who can do the kind of the face-to-face.
The stuff that needs to be done
the
here.
Physical. Yeah. And Lisa sorts it out, and seamless. So you get the right talent, and of course, for me, it's so easy. She knows the way that we work, and she, as you can tell, is very effective.
She is. Yeah. Well, and also she rang me up And she said, "I just checking you're meeting Simon tomorrow." And she said, "I could have sent you an email, but I just wanted to ring you up because I thought we'd have a conversation. What are you trying to do?" And then we ended up speaking about the Do lectures and a whole lot of stuff and her project with, the sort of drink business. Yeah, fantastic. And then, who else did we know? And lots of amazing conversation. And again, completely sort of serendipitous, where we would never have had that discussion
on an email.
On an email, it would have just been, "Are you still coming at 3:00? Yes. Okay, thanks. I'll see you there."
Absolutely.
And it's just
every touch point needs to be special. It doesn't have to be over-engineered. But I mean, I'm a director of Barnsley Football Club now. And just to get my ID done at the bank, which I've not been into a bank for fucking years, and they said, like, "Really?" And I said, "Well, I do have to wear a carnation these days." And we just had a bit of a laugh. That was actually an email. Just sending it. And so when we met each other, it was a nice experience. Every experience can be nice if you just make a bit humorous.
So my experience of coming to visit you, so not only did your PA ring me up to have a conversation rather than send me an email, but then I did get your welcome email from Flo saying, "Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Can you tell me whether you like tea or coffee and how you take it? So, and what time you're coming so I can have a cup of tea ready for you. And please park your car at the front of the building next to the red carpet. And then here's the instructions to get in. And I'll show you around when you're here." And it was just, takes all the stress out of when I get there, where are you?
Absolutely.
And,
but it's nice, isn't it?
And costs nothing. It's just a little bit of
forethought.
Yeah.
A bit of
caring.
It's a process.
Human.
Get the process right. Yeah. So it's a process, but it's human process. Yeah. You're overlaying the personality onto the process. So we know when you come to a place. It's like when people come from London, we all say, "Are you coming on the train?" "Well, we'll meet you there." Just tell us what train you get. "Oh, we'll come and get you." So we don't have to wait till they get here and they get a taxi and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be sitting here in a little hybrid car and we'll pick you up. It's only 5 minutes away. It's the little things in life that are the big things in business these days.
Well, somebody comes to visit you, I suspect, and then they go back to their office and they're like, "Okay, so we've got quotes from a number of people." And then it's like, well, how did any of those companies make us feel? Yeah. So assuming that all of the print is about the same, and the price is about the same.
It's completely commoditized.
And then they go, "Okay, well, where does the emotion fit in?" And you've created some emotion around the business over the top of that. And they just gravitate to that because they go, "Well, they were nice people and we quite like, and they had a quirky office. And wouldn't it be much more fun to go back and sit in the room with a suit of armour than those dull people around the corner?"
Come here and have their management team breakouts. Say, "Actually, this is a shed. It's an industrial estate in Bicester.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about it at all. It's like every other industrial estate ever in the world. But with relatively little money, because I'm tight as a duck's arse. I'm a northerner. I'm from Yorkshire. And so none of this cost, we haven't got interior designers. We did it ourselves."
Well, look, I've been downstairs. You've got quite a good gym.
Yeah.
You've got a fantastic 1950s style diner as a staff canteen. And you've got lots of metrics on the wall. Mm-hmm. You've got the lucky wheel.
Yeah. Dream maker.
Yeah. So tell me about the dream maker.
Well, it was just, I wanted to make, every time we hit target in a month, I wanted to make it a bit of theatre. So we made a Wheel of Fortune. And I wanted it to be so people didn't get taxed on it as a Brucey bonus. So this is it's a lucky dip.
Right. Oh, because if you do lucky dip, there's no tax.
It's just a chance, isn't it? Give a chance. Ah,
okay, cunning.
So, I want them to feel good about it and whatever. So we just do it, and it's a bit of theatre. The old Price is Right tune comes on. The person who won it last time spins the wheel, and it's like a little carousel wheel. I'm sure there's videos online of people.
I've taken a quick photograph, so I'll stick that in the show notes as well.
And it's just a really nice way of saying thank you. And, whoever wins it, there's an envelope that's lodged in the safe that Oscar brings out. And they've got a choice whether they want to reveal what their dream is. And some people are more personal dreams than others, including augmentations and all this kind of stuff.
So hang on a second. They should say, the idea is they tell you what the dream is.
They put it in an envelope at the beginning of the year.
Oh,
and then it's in the safe.
Right, okay.
And then bring it out, and they can say whether they want to make it public. I mean, most of them are really make me mum's kitchen better, or buy me granddad a new telly.
So then there's that person. They've got their dream, and then you give them, what is it?
They pay for it, and we pay back up to £1,000.
Okay, fab.
And so if we spank target 12 times a year, it costs me £12,000. I mean, really, in the scheme of things, it's no, is it? And you do it for £100. It's the thought that counts.
Yes.
So that's 1,200 quid a year.
Well, it's a bit of theatre, isn't it?
It is, and people like it. People feel good for somebody else.
Yeah.
So the other teams dial in, so they can see. Barnsley and East Kilbride can dial in to see it, so they can win, and it's just a nice little thing. And I actually had a guy from Harvard doing a bit of a case on us, and he said, "Does it really make a difference?" And I'd recorded one. Cal actually won it, and he was going bonkers. He was like, "Yes!" And he bought a load of Apple gear and stuff, and he was just like, just really nice. I said, "Yep, I believe it." You tell when things are too if they're contrived, they're not authentic. It's meaningless. But if it's what we are, then that's it. Yeah. And it's not what everybody wants to be, but actually, for the people that don't want this, you'll never come here. But actually, people want a bit of difference. There's some nice team of people around you that you can get on with, even though we're really weird, odd, unusual, kind of not mainstream. We're all nice people, and you're not greedy. We have had greedy people who do it for themselves, and they really don't work out. We get more than you could reasonably expect by doing it through others, not from yourself.
Yeah. And
it's a very different kind of approach to it, and that's where the Marxist redistribution comes. We all pull together to create profit. Profit's good. Business is good, and this is where I fall out with some of my left-wing colleagues. Is that I say, well, without business, you can't redistribute anything.
You've got nothing to give away.
Absolutely. There's nothing else in society that creates value than business. Everything else is a redistribution of that. So if you want to get the society that we all want, then make it the best businesses you possibly can. Make it as creative an opportunity as you possibly can. Make it as meaningful. Of course, there are people like Mike Ashley and these, Philip Greens of the world that are wankers, to be brutally honest, who will abuse people, legally or unlegally. It's immoral, the way that they approach things. But most businesses aren't like that. 99% of business people are decent people trying to look after their family and the families of the people that work for them. So the reason that these people are in papers is because they are the crass, unacceptable face of capitalism. The people that run businesses, look in your local papers. The people that are giving stuff away or helping people, they're everywhere. They're, in the local newspaper, the people doing charity stuff and all that. There's 1,000-fold more of those than there are of these unacceptable people. So business is good.
Let's dig into that profit, because you split the profits 3 ways. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
The staff don't have shares in the business? It's 100% owned by you?
There is one share owned by a trust.
Okay.
And that trust can't sell that share.
Okay, so you don't even own the business?
I'm the beneficiary of the trust.
Okay.
But I can't sell it because actually the shares have been the profits have been redistributed. Okay. So it's got no value. And of course, if you build that into the DNA of the business, what's somebody going to buy? Because the profit is given away. So you just change that, you lose the people. You lose the people, you lose your business. Okay. So it's a kind of a golden share, but in the other way.
Yeah. So you don't, it's not shared distribution. You do profit share.
We do a profit share.
So what's the mechanics of that used?
We make profits, and then the first 400,000 of post-tax profits is retained in the business. Okay. So it builds the balance sheet, and in the Maslowian hierarchy of needs, it's security. Mm-hmm. You build everything off that, and then we've got the belonging with the intellectual, emotional, and financial to get to the self-realisation. Kind of the clever bit, all really putting together. Between 400,000 and £1 million profit, half goes to me, half goes to the team. Above £1 million profit, 100% of it goes to the team. Okay. So as we grow more and more and more. Okay,
so those numbers are fixed. They don't change over time.
They're fixed. Okay, that's it. So then it drives the right behaviour. So they're acting.
So you've capped there's no. You're not building an equity stake in a business because of the way you've written the golden share at the beginning, and you've capped your income at 300,000. Doesn't stop you opening other businesses and driving other income, but from this piece, you've said this is about building wealth for your employees because you've capped it at 50 people.
Yeah. Wow. And it gives an opportunity then for them to be entrepreneurs within your organisation and attract the right kind of behaviours within the organisation.
Yeah. So how when you're recruiting, have you developed the dark art for finding the people, the next Webmartier?
Well, usually it's a recommendation from people who are already Webmartiers or work with Webmartiers. Usually.
So there's some sort of personal connection. So, but do you put them through a series of tests?
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do?
Oh, right, okay.
Because this is my. I just think if I'm standing in front of a room of 100 business people and I said, does anyone in this room have a problem with recruitment? 100 people put their hands up.
Yeah.
And people, even successful businesses, somehow don't focus the spotlight on it and do it well enough. And as you found, if you've got a room full of great people who are intellectually and emotionally engaged in the business, you can't stop them. I sit down with people and they're trying to fix a problem. Then, in fact, if they'd fixed the people problem, they wouldn't have that problem.
A business is a bag of people. You might have a few signature processes, you might have a logo, but actually, it's the people. Yeah. So, to be a better business, you have to have the best people you can afford. And so we're really rigorous with the onboarding and management of people at that stage. So the process that we have is that everybody who we think might be good, look at the CV, we do firstly a 10-minute Skype or similar with them, even if they live around the corner. Two things. One is if they are comfortable doing that, they're comfortable with technology, so that's good. It's not an interview, it's a chat. Say, look, what's the kind of role you can tell within a couple of minutes if they're one of them, engaged, smiley, all that kind of stuff. If that's okay, then we'll do a psychometric test. So we do psychometric.
Which one do you?
There's a free one by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
On the website, which is great, about inner drivers and psychometrics and whatever. Okay. Then we have a team interview, the team that they'll be working with. 3 of them sit down and do an interview. If they get through that, then I'll interview everyone.
That's really interesting because I think often the MD or the CEO of a business delegates that interviewing way too early. And you just want to keep that quality control.
Absolutely. And then, probably the more innovative bit is that after 3 months, everybody votes on them anonymously. So
what's the question or series?
3 questions. Do you think they've got the capability to do the job? Do you think that they've got the desire to do the job? Do you think they've got the ability to be a long-term Webmarteer? And there are areas of good things and areas of development. And those are anonymous and everybody votes on that person.
So you get your 3-month probation, but from the whole company. 360-degree review. Radical candor. People don't hold back.
Well, it's anonymous. People do the honest thing, and you know very quickly if they get through that 3 months.
Do they cold, or do they get the feedback and they get the chance to?
I'll get feedback. It depends. There's some people that, we've had last a day. We're just like, whoa, I love transparency and I love the kind of, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God. I had one bandmate who's going back a few years that literally went to the toilet after the first hour and never came back again. Because once you're into this thing, it's like, can be a bit scary. But then after 6 months, we do the same. If they get through that, they've got through the probation and got full time. But then everybody, every 6 months, is peer reviewed by the team. And the only one that's made public is mine. So for the rest of their time at Webmart, you are reviewed by the entire business.
You're getting your personal development plan written by your peers every 6 months.
Well, certainly your personality appraisal. And these are about team ethics, not about your KPIs as your job and your role description.
This is just your personality.
This is it's about you as a person.
You never put your cup in the dishwasher.
Yeah, well, it's just like, how well do you share? Do you go above and beyond the call of duty? Are you always there for people when they need it? Even down to how well you take a joke. These are the kind of how welcoming you are to new starters and people in the office. These are the important things about community. You get those kind of things, and that's what we quantify. And then, as I say, mine's the only one that's made public. Everyone is between the line manager and themselves. So, it goes into personal development plans. So the line managers get the opportunity to do some coaching. Absolutely. They're shared. And we've just done January's now. So we've just released it. And there's January and July.
Yeah. Was that tap on the door because you were late for beer o'clock?
No, I'm actually late for a customer that's come in at 4. But yes, I would normally be in beer o'clock, and I have no idea. Do you know who's doing the video this week?
They did tell me, but I've forgotten. But they said that's the other thing about the wheel is that selects the person
who's going to be doing the video this week, and it's fantastic. I used to do
10-minute update video.
Yeah, 10-minute update on the business this week. And from a different person's perspective, any of the offices.
Well, they said you used to do it all, and they said, Simon, you're getting a bit samey.
Yeah, totally.
Some radical candor.
I went on, but quite a lot of people were really worried about it. But actually, now it isn't.
I can see how that could be quite daunting.
Absolutely. So I was always a bit scared. I thought, but then when I was on holiday, people did it, and I just thought, actually, I was watching them when I got back, and I thought, brilliant. So why don't we do it to the leadership team? So we started doing the leadership team to do it, each about their areas. And then we just thought, well, why don't we do it so that everybody has the opportunity? I mean, obviously, if they're absolutely petrified, we won't make anybody do it. But we haven't had anybody yet. Once, if you like, the ice was broken.
In some ways, it must be easier for the people who wouldn't want to stand up and speak in public to do a video, because it's that sort of.
Yeah, it is. It's 10 minutes. And there's first shot, first time.
Right. Okay. No editing.
No editing.
Okay.
No, first take.
Yeah, and there must be some sort of competitive pressure to keep the quality up.
Well, it's just be your personality. I mean, we have some fantastic. I mean, Flo did a poem, wrote a poem, brilliant. About the weeks ago. Oh man! I
was asking about how she ended up here. So she did an internship and then she ended up here full time. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, actually, I saw her first. She was head girl at my daughter's school, and she did a presentation. I just thought, fantastic, brilliant. So I got in touch with the school and said, look, I'd like to get into. And obviously, you've got to be careful with kids and schools. They offered it, and she came in. And she, brilliant. And same with Richard Boone, who's our sales director. He joined us at 18 after doing a Dragon's Den, and it was and the idea was okay in front of the telecameras. So there's Peter Jones there, me, I was on the board, and this 18-year-old Sprog standing up there and pitching his idea. I thought, fabulous. So I said, look, I'll invest, but it was in the person, and now he's our sales director. You know, after 12 years of being with us.
I was looking at, you've got your long service portraits on the stairs as you come up. He's just dropped into the Wall of Fame, hasn't he?
Yeah, totally.
And it's like he's the latest addition to the Wall of Fame, and he's been here 12 years. Yeah. So it's,
absolutely
fantastic longevity.
It is, and it's nice. And it's nice to see people growing up, and it's nice to see people having kids and, understanding the pain and the gain that they're having in their lives, and, So I wanted to keep it to 50. Yes, there's a cost implication. You've got to be smarter rather than have more bodies. But I write a note on everybody's payslip. Just say thank you every month. Well, actually,
and if it was more than 50, it would start to get hard.
And birthdays and Webmart anniversaries and notable things. Write a little card. Everybody, these things are what matters really. So Susan just got a first house in Bicester. So it's just nice to be able to do it. And, Tricia's mum and dad weren't very well in Ireland. They had a fire. And so just sending flowers over and sort of like, just makes just a difference to people's lives. And you couldn't do it.
It makes a difference but it makes a difference to you, right? So it's like, why would you not want to run a business where you knew people and cared?
Totally. What is it about? I mean, you spend so many hours with people. You want to deal with people you like working with. And it's just nice. It makes it an enjoyable experience. It's not a lonely journey.
I'm just conscious you have a customer that. But so I've got just two more questions.
Go.
If you went back in time, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Employ better quality people early. I put more in the bank because I was a bit scared. Having been at companies that were always indebted, I banked quite a lot. Kept it in the business, but banked it. I should have invested in quality people. I can't afford the finished product. It's a bit like Barnsley Football Club. We get young sprogs and then we grow. And I should have done more of that. And I thought, I'll get good enough people. Yeah. Actually, that's never good enough.
There's no such thing as good enough. They're keeping the seat warm for the better person.
If you employ them at the max of the headroom, where do they go from there? Yeah. So you need to get people with potential in. Then you can grow them up or you can move them into a better role. So that's the biggest thing. And don't be taken in by people who have the opposite end, really expensive people who've done it, who can come, there's a finished article. Generally, they come with more baggage and psychological problems, and they've got this big iron superiority. So I've had to get rid of some really bright people because they didn't bring the team with them. Yeah. And become diversive, they're seen as greedy and, short-termism and whatever. So at one end, you want to over-invest early on in these people's careers. Yeah. And in many respects, bring them through and not parachute in the finished product. That's my role now. I've tried that because I thought, you get people with this talent, with this experience. I'm a working class lad from Barnsley. What do I fucking know about it? So you've got these international superstars with MBAs and this, that and the other, and they come in, they know, oh, thank God for that. And they can do numbers. And actually, what they come with is an awful lot of baggage and a superiority complex often, and an expectation that people, they're better than, and greed. Take them out and everyone goes, oh, thank God, we're back. And we've gone through that a couple of times now, so I'm not going to do that again. I've always grown from within, and it's more enjoyable, and everybody gets on better.
And the last thing is, book or 3 books that you think everybody should read, everybody in business should read. You've got a library, you've got a bookshelf above your desk.
Absolutely. Well, In Search of Excellence back in the day is the one that I absolutely loved. I've lost it somewhere. I think I lent it to my mate Nigel Street and he never gave me it back. But I mean, it was about yay big, big. Yeah, absolutely. I would have to say Dale Carnegie's As Men, Friends and Influence People. It's just fab. I mean, 1930s book, but my God. It understands psychology, and business is about understanding people. Yeah, and that's it.
Find out what they want, help them get it, and you might get what you want as a result.
And a good to great with the Hedgehog principle on the bus. So that's common parlance now, isn't it? Yeah. And some too. I love history. History to me can be a little bit tactical. Yeah, tactically Machiavellian if you're not careful. I quite like some of the false trails, which is a benign form of kind of duplicity, but just saying, you put out into the marketplace what other people think you're doing, not necessarily what you are doing. And that's been quite interesting to see, because then it builds its own momentum. Yeah, and then I have people coming back saying, I didn't realise you'd... And I'm like, well, actually, all I said was that. Everybody embellishes, don't they? Yeah. So by the time it gets back, you've done the most amazing thing ever. And I'm just saying, well, actually, no, I know what... I'm going this way, because I wasn't sure about that person. So you only say one thing to one person, then you test them. Snakes and ladders, isn't it? Yeah. You just make sure that see what they are, and if it comes back like that, then you won't be sharing in most secrets again. So those are kind of 3.
Brilliant, Simon. Thank you very much indeed. Pleasure. That's brilliant.
And if anybody wants to come.
Oh yes, sorry, yes. How do we get a hold of you? So we'll put your contact details in the show notes.
Yeah,
and you had 1,000 people through last year.
1,200.
1,200 last year.
1,200. So if anybody wants to come and have a look around the place, don't have to see me. Just have a look around. Yeah. Just get in touch with us through the website, and you're more than welcome to have a quick look around. It's an experience.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Lovely.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
No problem.
All this information and more can be found at dominicmonkhouse.com/podcast. There you'll find show notes, additional reading and links related to this episode. You can also find my blog and the past editions of the Melting Pot newsletter. The simplest thing to do is to sign up to my subjectively not crap once a week newsletter, where I'll update you on what I've been up to, the most interesting articles I've read, and all things relating to scaling up, high-performing teams, net promoter score, company culture, etc. Social, you can find me on Twitter at Dom Monkhouse and LinkedIn at Dominic Monkhouse. LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach me and share your questions and comments. Thanks for listening.